Every day I'm trying to improve myself, trying to beat the system, can't lose myself. It's unfortunate you can't leave the gun on the shelf, can't even pump your gas without dodging shells.
Mental misery, I pray dodge themselves. The judge is so empathy in hell excel. Think it's a game, nigga, like Paint Patel. Shotgun shelf life that fills your well.
Every day is new to me, never wake up to the news. It's foolery, was always told I had a good head on my shoulder. Yes, my head's big.
Welcome to Product of the 80's podcast. I am one and a half of your host, Black B, aka Jay Harris, 330. You're looking for me on social media, and that is my partner in crime, my road dog, the one who got all these pastors, reverends, preachers, priests, and everybody else pissed off and ready to tear something up. Godless Reggie, what's up, brother?
Not too much. Shout out to Ibrahim Bala. He's an African preacher. I'm not sure if he's a Nigerian preacher, but he just challenged me to a debate. Shout out to him.
Shout out to him. Yo, bro. Hey, man, keep doing what you're doing, bro. Somebody's got to go out and create a different conversation and challenge people to think for themselves and figure it out. Doesn't mean that I'm telling people that their faith is wrong or I'm disagreeing with what you're saying. It just means that I think figuring it out on your own and really doing some research into what you believe in and, practice to help. But nonetheless, brother, I digress. We haven't been here in a while on this platform for Product of the 80's. And normally on this one, we have like some kind of deeper discussions. And today was a real interesting situation, brother. I had a conversation. I'm not going to put nobody on blast. It was a dope conversation. But I had a conversation with somebody and we were discussing politics, which probably shouldn't, but we were discussing politics. And in the process of discussing politics, they were upset and they were talking about how they were voting for Trump. And one of the things that they did not like was Kamala doing the whole $25,000 the housing plan, but first-time homeowners housing plan, $25,000. And it's so funny because they also said that they not only did they disagree with that, but they also had an issue with what's the word I'm looking for? Medicare for all. And they also wasn't really for, and they didn't speak on this, but somebody else spoke on the fact that they don't like having to pay within their city taxes, still have to pay for school levies and different things like that, especially since they don't have any kids. And so listening to them express their feelings, man, it made me think about like, yo, sometimes people don't understand, or we've grown selfish in this country and never looking at. People will say they love America, but their idea of a healthy America, in some cases, is if they're doing good, if they are thriving, or if them and their circle are thriving. And so this person was like, yo, why should if I got to go and pay my student loans off, my parents had to do theirs, why should this person get a helping hand? Why should it be any easier for them? Like if I got my parents scraped to save up for their down payment for their house, why should this other person get it off easy? That was one of their arguments.
Okay. So a couple of other points are very invalid, right? I'm going to break it down to you. So the city taxes and shit like that has nothing to do with the presidential race, right? Absolutely nothing, right? Nothing at all. As far as the first time buyers thing, that has been in existence for I don't know how long. I was aware of not this. What you're saying is an additional $25,000
compared to what we already had.
Yes.
With the other affordable housing act and different things like that. We already had them.
We already had the first time buyers thing. It's up to a 4-family unit. I'll tell you offline how I know this, right? Anybody basically qualifies for it as long as you're an American citizen, or maybe not even American citizen. I don't know. I'm just guessing that part. As long as you meet certain criteria, you got a bank account, you got X amount of money in there, and you got 3% down and closing costs. So, I really don't see why that's a complaint to her. I don't see that doesn't make any sense. Now, are we saying that this is a grant or a loan?
Right. So here's the crazy part about it, and this is what bro, this is the part that be killing me. People will literally argue and be spiteful and cut off their nose in spite of their face. Not only does this the main purpose of it is I'm gonna just read the first thing of it. And I'm not telling people in no shape, form, or fashion that I'm voting for Kamala or that I agree with Kamala on it. I more or less when I watch people pick certain points they choose to argue about, either for either candidate, argue for or whatnot, and when they just I don't say seem uninformed, but don't look at the big picture or don't understand about how this could be beneficial. And within the lowering house cost things, Vice President Kamala Harris announced on August 16th for her presidential campaign lower costs for American families, including housing costs. The first component of the agenda, the Build the American Dream, lower the cost of renting and owning a home, calls for the construction of 3 million new housing units in the next 4 years, outlines. So that also what creates jobs, right? Okay.
Sounds like it to me.
Outlines actions for creating a fair rental market and proposes 25,000 in down payment support for first-time homeowners to address the housing shortage and bring down price for renters and homeowners alike. So not only is it going to help people who are buying homes, but those who want to buy homes and then turn around and then create generational wealth with owning that home later on down the line by being able either to pass it on to their kids or turn those to income property.
I mean, I don't see why she even is concerned with, oh, well, my parents had to do X, Y, Z. Okay, so your parents, when your parents were in their prime, I could guarantee that this was probably between the 60s and the 70s. Somebody please correct me because I'm going to say something that's partially true, well, not 100% true.
Which one? I'll look it up. Which one you asking about?
But it was only between a certain amount of time between the 60s and the 70s where actual people really made enough money to afford a house from
Mhm.
their paycheck. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And were afford to live comfortably. It was only for like a 10-year span, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm.
So your parents could afford to make that down payment. They literally had the money. You know what I'm saying? Ever since then, most of us have been living underwater. On top of the fact that NJ, shout out to NJ because you are on point.
1968. 1968. That was
Okay, I
right.
knew I was somewhere close. Shout out to NJ. She be on point like a motherfucker too. The chef should be saying, but your parents could literally afford it. They made enough. Um, let's get to that around that same time frame, the same fucking time frame. Student loans
Mhm.
until somebody correct me again. Until sometime in the 70s, college you could literally pay for it out of your pocket. I think it was like the average college in America was like $5,000 or something like that, and the price drastically jumped. And that is due to the fact that they didn't want a certain demographic to be able to go to college. And if they did, they would be in student loan debt the rest of their life. All that's around the same time frame is also around the same time frame where the welfare system, uh, where Section 8 programs and things like that
Mhm.
came into play. So there's a lot of factors into all that.
Right. Um. Here's the part, and this is the part that I really really hate when I hear people say it. Is like, why should my tax paying dollars go into so somebody can get something for free or can get a handout? And I understand it, but that doesn't apply to every situation. So if you're a tax paying citizen and this program is there for you to be able to get the house, I'm going to assume that at least most of the time, majority of the time, 7 times out of 10, you probably bringing in some income, which means you're probably paying taxes on this income you're bringing in, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so you're a taxpayer too. You go out, you buy things get taxed. You're paying taxes on it. So if you're paying taxes yourself, then wouldn't that be also considered part of making your money work for you? That you paid in the taxes,
absolutely.
we're getting that back to help you?
Absolutely. And to your point, right? No matter how you
Mhm.
look at the situation, right? Whenever you pay taxes, whenever you work in this country, You paying for some shit that you don't want to pay for. That's number one. That money is going to some places that you don't want to go to, you don't support, and somebody is going to get a free fucking ride from that money, no matter what the fuck you do. Now let's talk about it, right? You don't give no fucks about your tax money going to Israel.
Nope.
They get free rides. They get free
Care at
rides
all.
for
Don't care at all.
everything. They get everything for free, and it's your ass paying for it, and you don't give no fuck. I do. I feel that my tax money needs to stay here. So if my tax money helps another American, well, because I'm tired of paying for other motherfuckers. So don't start that. That's some bullshit.
I'm looking up the. I want to see how much we spend in 58 billion. A free dollar tuition free first dollar tuition free program would cost 58 billion a year. It's implemented in over an 11-year time frame. The first dollar tuition free program will cost about 800 billion. And how much have we given? Has the U.S. given Israel to Israel? Since 1948, it has received 158 billion in military aid for the United States, making it the greatest recipient in history.
And then listen, if you give people a break,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Or if you put money into people's hands,
Mm-hmm.
you're gonna get it right back. You're gonna instantly get it right back.
Yes.
Because they're gonna spend it.
They're going to spend it. It circulates. Hence why they gave people the damn
Stimulus shit.
stimulus checks. It
Yes.
went right.
It boosted the economy that needed it bad, because that's during the pandemic where most stores were still closed down. You couldn't really get access to them, or however you look at it, the access to a lot of places was filtered. A lot of places still right now can't come back into business or then lost from that.
Mhm.
So when that money came, it helped. You know what I'm saying? It helped
Yeah.
the economy in both ways. You know what I'm saying? So I don't see
NJ devising is like a lot of that money did go to government contracts for dual citizens. A lot of them people don't understand, man. Like they don't get it. Like they think when I hate this notion of people keep thinking. I believe we said it before in the podcast. Like bigger government, people keep thinking that like bigger government, when we do more government spending, is like our government is growing and they're hiring a whole shit ton of employees to sit around and do nothing but sit at these government buildings. No, man, it just creates more programs that private citizens get contracts for to go ahead and be funded through the government to do all these little BS things. Like, I'm not sitting saying that it's okay, but our government is not growing when they say bigger government. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm the first person, a believer of like, I understand now why you have to have regulations to a degree. Because a lot of times, and I'll say the right does it more than the left. The right operates under like, yeah, man, we need to have looser regulations, and because the right's dream is that everybody's just going to go out. We don't need unions. Everybody's going to go out and do the right thing, right? Everybody's going to treat the planets right. Everybody's going to hire their workers and give their workers the right pay they deserve. Everybody's just going to create right work conditions. Like, yo, there's a reason why we had to get unions in the first damn place. There's reasons why we had to get antitrust laws, and we had to start breaking down these monopoly companies and all these other different things like that. Because no, people get greedy and they don't play fair.
In the perfect world, union shit crazy too, though.
Huh?
That union shit is wild too. People,
yeah, and I mean, and so there is corruption in that. I'm not sitting there saying it at all, but there's a reason why we had to go to that.
Yeah, I agree.
And so it's very frustrating with we're this country is very lazy in thought and very ignorant to a lot of what goes on in the world and how we are even perceived in this world. What did she say? The reason the Obama administration is still hanging on to Kamala is Federal jobs held by 18% black wealth around DC. Hmm. Uh, our boy was out there. That's
Oh,
why our
Jay.
boy was out there. Both of our boys out there. Bobby and for B.
Yeah.
Yeah, made a living off of that. So that is
Yeah.
true. So that is
Facts.
a lot of your government and city jobs, especially in a lot of these cities, are held by your government, state, federal, and even local. A lot of your common workers, those positions are held and have been held actually for lots of
Yes.
decades by by
Yes.
by blacks.
My family's from Virginia, and I've had family members that have. We're not from DC, and then we're not
Mhm.
from the DC area. I'm not gonna cap on that, but my family, both sides, is from Virginia, and a lot of them got grown and either moved up by Baltimore and DC. And my one cousin had got a government job. It's not really that hard if you are like from around there and you know the right people, or if
Yeah.
you got the right education.
Mhm.
Well, it
And
wasn't in their day. I don't know about
right,
now. You know
right.
what I mean?
I
I could be
think
lying now.
another thing is I wanted to touch on is that, and I don't want to make it. I want to stick to. I don't want to make it as political because it's deeper than just politics, right? And so, in this, you'll love this part. And part of the conversation this person was expressing, and they were just letting their feelings be known about how they feel about a lot of this stuff about free handouts. They said they go to a church and it upsets them that their church like takes everybody tithes and everything like that, and they do like free events and they give out free pizza to the neighborhood kids and the schools around and stuff like that. Because they're trying to grow their their membership. So they want to try to pull you in and everything. So
Mhm.
this
Hook you in.
person was going off, reel you in, right? This person was
Mhm.
going off because they was like, well, I think that's stupid. Why are they getting something for free? Why are they getting handouts? Like I feel like yo, I go there, I pay my like tithes, or I go to church and and so I'm there every Sunday. Like watching this person if they're not there every Sunday. And when this person was saying it, I was like, yo, from a spiritual standpoint, do you realize what you're saying? I like, do
Well,
you?
it's two ways of looking at that. That's there's two ways of looking at that, right?
Uh-huh.
So if you look at it from uh, a religious point of view,
Yeah.
she's wrong.
Yes.
She's wrong as fuck from a religious
Yes.
point of view, and she's
Yes.
selfish and she's prideful and all that bullshit, right? But that's from a
Mhm.
religious point of view, right?
Right.
But from a realistic point of view,
Mhm.
she's right.
True.
Feel me?
Factual.
Listen,
Factual.
she's the one paying for that.
Mhm.
She's the one.
Right.
So I feel her.
I do. So that's what I was like, yo, like,
Hmm.
so from a spiritual standpoint, like, do you realize what you're saying and what
Hmm.
you said? And I was like, because like that's like somebody almost sitting there saying, like, yo, I go to church every Sunday, been doing it my whole life and paying my tithes and everything else. And this fool show up one Sunday and God blessed them with what they asked for
Right.
food.
Right. Speaking religiously, she'll be wrong. And listen, NJ's a beast. Listen, she, I'm pretty sure she thinks it's something like that along them terms with the twist because it's NJ. She's a beast. She's a beast. I just was on a live with her. It's, yeah, I mean, rolling. She's
It's,
funny.
NJ said a woman elected in 2020 has cashed her paychecks but never used her office or work. Wait, what? Who was that?
I don't know.
NJ should have came on. We should have had NJ on. We need NJ on. Tell NJ she need to come on.
If you put the thing down in the comments, she'll come up on here.
I sent you the link. You got whatever case to put it to, NJ.
I'm I'm
You
gonna
want me to
send.
send you the link to your phone?
Yeah, send it to me. I'm gonna send it to you, NJ, if you want to come up here.
Um,
I'm gonna
so
send it to you on TikTok.
let's talk healthcare a little bit while we see what
Okay.
NJ can do. Okay, how do you feel overall about universal healthcare and your tax dollars going towards the fact of everybody getting good serviceable healthcare?
We can afford it. We can definitely afford it. We're quote unquote one of the richest nations uh, on earth,
Hmm.
right? There's countries that are not as rich as us
Hmm.
that have it. Um, I don't want to talk about the research I've done on that situation because we could have had it several times.
Yeah.
Because this that conversation can go on forever and ever and ever. But yeah, we definitely can afford it. Our tax dollars go to a bunch of stuff that the average person, and even including me, I don't know what all that shit means. When I look at my taxes, I can understand some of it, but not all of it. Some people don't care nothing about it, don't know, but it's taking a chunk of our money. So if it's gonna go to something, let's let it go to something beneficial. You're paying for insurance anyway, like some medical or something. In fact, I wish I had my pay stub here to review
Yeah,
it.
you're paying for some shape, form, or fashion.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So why not? I mean, shit, why not? It's a great idea.
Yeah,
We would live longer.
live longer, more access to we help us demand more access to. There's so many ways to flip it, man, and it frustrates me. Again, it goes back to I be feeling like some people be living a selfish like mind state. Like I had to suffer, so you should suffer.
Oh yeah,
I had to scrimp and save, or I had to go and pay off my student debt or loan. So you should have to pay off yours and not get the help from the government. And and I was telling this person, and they was like, "Yo, like you think it's fair to my parents or my grandparents?" I'm like, "Okay, but do you think like I.e. like New Jersey State was like, do you think?" NJ was saying like, "Do you think it's fair that we had to go through redlining?" Or do you think it's fair when they would turn around in the Homestead Act and they was taking away properties and giving it away? Like there's so many instances where or what about what was it right after the war? They was going through recession. Didn't they do something similar to a whole nother thing to help the housing, get more housing and people with homes in America after World War One or two?
I'm not aware of that.
So and I'll have to look to make sure. But America has this is not the only time America has had to help Americans because of what's going on around us, especially when it comes to the economy and inflation and different things like that. And I just, again, we get comfortable, we see where we at, and then we don't realize the helping hand a lot of our ancestors, family, and friends got to help set their family up in the first damn place to
Right,
get what they get.
everybody has.
Yeah, everybody's
Everybody
gotten
has.
handouts and helping hands. And one of the things that was said to me was like, "Oh, so you wouldn't feel bad like if like that you didn't save up to get money for a down payment on a house?" I'm like, "Hell no,
Mm-mm.
no, no,
Why would I
no.
feel bad? I wouldn't even think about that shit. I
I
was like,
wouldn't even
oh
think
man,
about it."
that's just like I used to watch Everybody Hates Chris and his. I remember his
I
mom
sent
one
that to you by
episode.
the way.
I sent it to NJ. I sent it to you on TikTok. But I remember the one episode on Everybody Hates Chris. His mom was embarrassed about some damn food stamps. You think I'm gonna give a damn? You think I'm gonna care like that? I got some shit. I think it ain't fair that y'all always didn't had it. Now I respect people that actually grinded and saved up to do what they had to do. I respect it, but that don't mean that I'm gonna feel bad about myself. Like, oh, I wish I would have saved it myself. Fuck no. As long as I get it, that's all that matter.
Let's see. So the first thing was again, like I said, the Homestead Act of 1868 was a law that gave 160 acres of public land to citizens who would live on and improve the land.
What's up, NJ?
What's up, NJ? Over there spewing all the facts and pointing out how you doing.
Pretty good, pretty good, pretty good. Nice to hang out with you again, Reggie. Like I said, I like this streaming service. I like this one. I can work with this one. How are
Thank
you
you for
doing?
coming.
How you doing? How you doing?
Good,
How you
good,
doing?
Good. I'm good, feeling real good, and I'll be happy once this presidential election is over. Either way, I just about tired of all the nonsense and well, it'll continue, but I don't know. I'm ready to move on to something different. There's a lot of other problems to try to tackle and a lot of other things to, but it's the conversations I get stuck having with people over and over again who I don't know, for lack of a better term, I don't want to say I don't think they get the whole big picture of how our government, how a country is ran, period, and how the selfish thought of people be like, to me, it's asinine for somebody to say like, why should, if I don't have kids, why should my tax dollars, why should I have to pay taxes or school levies or different things like that? And I'm like, yo, it's an investment.
Oh, I got an answer for that one. I got an answer for that one. Because somebody got to pay for them because we need them.
We need them.
The planet don't work unless you keep on making replicas of humans.
Right. And so listen, if that's what I don't get, like they get frustrated. I'm like, yo, if you want more accountability for where your money is going, argue that point. If you're upset because you don't feel our children are getting the education and the tools necessary and our whole curriculum and the whole setup of how we do schooling in America, that's a whole different argument from sitting saying I shouldn't have to pay taxes if I don't have no kids and the school system is all messed up. I'm like, because we don't care about community no more. We don't care about building for generations down the line. I remember growing up at one point in time, like all they did was argue about like, yo, we don't want to leave our kids with this debt. We don't want to leave our children and our future with all this debt and all these issues and these problems. And now they're like, we don't care. They don't even care about leaving a better future for the kids or investing in our children. That's why China does it. All these other countries, they sit there and make sure that even if it's indoctrination, they're pushing the education they want to put out there big time.
We pay for It's Not Real's education system, and it's fabulous. They can come over here, go to college, go back there, debt free. We pay for It's Not Real. So I don't understand why we don't want to pay for our own. And me myself, I have to educate my grandson all by my little lonesome because I don't trust the school system.
Right.
Too many of those teachers are able to hide their you know what? I just don't like teachers. I don't like all teachers. And it's hard to figure out which teachers are the good teachers and which ones are the bad teachers. So I just keep my grandson at home. And he's fine. He knows how to read. He knows his numbers. You know what he's really good with? Money. He knows exactly how money works. He gets it. He spends it. Guess what? Them taxes at the store don't care that he's only 7 and it's his money that he earned. He still got to pay taxes on the shit that he buys.
Yes.
Right.
Facts. Spew it. Tell it. So
either way.
No, Reggie, I'm sorry.
No, I just said you're gonna pay either
way.
way.
I'd rather pay for it. I don't mind, especially if we had some form of accountability that my taxpaying dollars are going into making us have a more accounted for and a better school education system. I don't mind paying my taxes towards us having overall better or free healthcare or whatever the case it is, universal healthcare for everybody. I don't care if the person works or not work. All I know is I need, and it makes it easier for me and easier for my kids. I don't care if the Kamala thing, again, I'm not voting for Trump either when it comes to the presidential thing, but yo, if $25,000 towards a down payment is going to help my children be able to get a house, I'm not going to blast them like, yo, don't you feel ashamed because you didn't save up and your mama had to save up or your dad had to save up to buy a house? Like, no, if he can make it easier, and plus he's still going to save up.
But in 1965, $25,000 was pretty much the whole house.
Right.
In 2024, where the average poorly built house begins at 500,000, 25,000 ain't doing shit. 25,000 should be able to cover your down payment, your closing costs, all the costs for the engineers to sign off on the house. It should cover everything, but it's not, and nobody is understanding that. That should be the concern. That should be where we're mad at. but instead we're mad that our nation is wasting another $25,000 per citizen again. I don't understand.
I don't understand it.
You gotta qualify for it. Can't go just give it to you. So and it's
Well, that starts me on another tangent. If you hire the right people, whether you find them on the internet or you bump into them in the story, whatever you need to qualify, they will make you qualify. It might
Right,
be a lie, but it will look good on the paperwork.
right.
you done found me one of them because I need it.
Listen, I'm for. I've become to circle back around and become big on community within the response. Big on it's not about me. I don't mind sacrificing today so that my children have better access, but also not allowing them to take things for granted too. And there's a difference to it. Like not just sitting there saying like, "Yo, you should get handouts or whatever." No, you still got to work for it. They still got to go pay for that mortgage. Just because they got the 25,000 that barely made a dent in it, they still got to go to work every day, pay taxes on that property, and go pay their tax, get taxes taken out of their check, go get gas, taxes taken out of that. They're still contributing people to society and our growth.
It's
Like,
a win-win situation
yeah,
because
so win-win.
if a person don't pay for this shit, right, the government is gonna take the house, the bank is gonna take the house, so it don't make no motherfucking difference,
None.
and you're gonna die too. You're gonna die. Say you get that shit. Okay, say you my age, right?
Mm-hmm.
I get a 30-year mortgage. I might live to pay it. Maybe. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe he said maybe.
Maybe.
I have reached the stage in life where even a 15-year mortgage is questionable. I
Yeah.
may not have 15 years left working in the corporation of America because, well, people is dropping like flies in that corporation right now.
Exactly.
So I searched earlier, and this is what I pulled up when I did. I put in how do cities benefit from first-time ownership, right? And grants, home ownership grants, and it was saying that cities benefit from first-time homeowner grants by stimulating the local housing market, increasing property values, boosting the local economy, and attracting new residents by making home ownership more accessible to a wider range of people, particularly younger demographics who might otherwise be priced out of the market. To me, again, so-called patriots of this country who love this country so much seem to only care about themselves instead of the whole overall growing, again, because we don't practice community anymore, but the overall growing of their community, their neighborhood, their city, their place. It's more like, yo, what can you do? Forget that I work hard, and it's not about, yo, yeah, you work hard, and let's help that pay off by helping your property value, by putting homeowners in. You know what a neighborhood
Come on,
looks like.
smack it. Shit.
You know what a neighborhood looks like when there's a whole bunch of renters in that neighborhood compared to when there's a whole bunch of homeowners in that neighborhood. What's up, D80?
Triple salute.
Hey,
Hey.
So I'm just trying to understand it. And welcome, bro. We were just going over the NJ was just schooling us to a lot of the different things of what's going on with the housing market and how $25,000 really ain't but just a scratch on the surface of dealing with our housing problem. Especially with the house, I think the average is what is it, 2 months anywhere between 369 to 500,000. A lot of other markets for a home now, the average market cost is about 369 and up.
Okay.
And so we were just talking about the fact of.
Can I ask why we care about this?
Huh?
Why do we care about this?
Because it's
political.
It's a political part where a lot of people who have
right. This is the topic that no Black people like to have. Politics. We don't like this conversation at all.
And there's a lot of people. There's a lot of voters who feel like, why my tax dollars are going to help these people? It's not fair. It's not right. Or that I had to save. Fuck that. They should have to save. My parents didn't get that handout. Why did everybody keep getting handouts? So the bigger picture is more the argument of people fussing about, again, there goes a Democrat giving more handouts.
Right.
Really,
Yes,
this country was built on handouts.
I know.
That's
You
what
know.
we all said that same shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, this country was based on handouts. Like there's no ethnic group outside Africans, Americans, and Mexicans that didn't get a handout.
Facts.
So again, like I'm just wondering why are the ones who are monopolized and disenfranchised arguing with each other over it? Which is I'm just kind of curious. I'm just
No, I don't
don't
think
get that.
we're not on here arguing about it. We're just discussing it. And why
Oh, okay.
yeah, we're not actually debating. We're just having an actual discussion about it and just talking about, like you said, all these America was built on handouts. There's multiple times the United States government has done everything you sat there and said and done it again. We just talked about they fussed about that, but nobody's fussed about, was it 158 billion since 1948 is funding that America has given Israel.
Better off giving
Man.
it to us. Better off giving us universal health care. Better off giving us that 25,000. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know.
Doesn't
I don't.
universal health care mean that we live longer, that we're healthier, so that we are able to keep slaving away in the corporation as long as they need us? Because
Right.
what's retirement now? Isn't it over 70?
Yeah, but that's not capitalism.
Yes,
that's
it is.
not.
But
No,
Yes,
it's
it
not.
is.
my point
No,
is
it's
this.
not.
My point is this.
You
This is what
living longer, you
this
spending
is what we're
money.
saying. This is what we're
Nah,
saying.
that's not
You
the
can't.
point. You
This
work
is the
dead, more
point.
dead than alive.
No, this
Go ahead, I'm
is the
sorry.
point. If you gonna complain, this is their complaint, right? My tax dollars is going to here for a handout to American citizens, right? Why aren't you complaining about your tax money going to other countries for a handout?
Yeah.
You better off giving it to a motherfucker here. You feel me? No matter who it is. If you give people money, B80, right? If you give people
But that's not how
listen,
America look at it, man.
if you give Americans money, what you gonna do with it? You gonna spend it, right? They're gonna
Get it
get it
right back.
right back the same day. It ain't even
I
gonna
mean,
take long.
if that's the case, then reparations would have been signed in the 70s. That's not the way
That's
the
why they
government look
should
at
do
it,
it. But the
man.
thing with that is they'll probably just inflate shit or whatever. But what I'm saying is, why do people care? You
I
don't
don't
care
know.
about that.
So okay, so this is my next question to us then. So, and I get it because I'm one of the biggest people that yell and fuss about this is the gift and curse of capitalism. Why are we so, instead of making policies, again, I'm not attacking any particular candidate about 25,000 towards housing. Why don't we have policies put in place to enact and really stop? And I know she put it in there that was supposed to slow down or stop inflation of home ownership and rent and everything else. But does that ever happen? You know, is that really going to happen? We should be sitting there. Somebody should be running off of that platform of or policies of we're gonna lower and take back these homeowning costs and reverse some of this inflation. But nobody does, because once it goes up, does it ever come down?
You're talking about cost of home ownership?
Yeah.
It depends on where you live. And it depends on the economy. There are several homes in Cleveland.
That theory has been negated thanks to
Can I
software.
finish my
All
point,
the
please?
housing
Can I finish my
prices
point?
is the same.
Can I finish my point? Thank you. Big Bro Kev, he bought his house about 15 years ago for about $100,000. He had it appraised 2 weeks ago. It is now $250,000, and he lives in Mayfield Heights. So he's at his highest point where his home value has doubled. And he's actually sitting now thinking, should he sell his home to try to capitalize off that value? Because you never know in 10 or 15 years what's going to happen. So it's always nice to say, yeah, things do appreciate, but I've witnessed in the city of Cleveland, depending on who's in power and what they want to happen, and depending on what urban district that you live in, the property value that you have in your home now can suddenly drop depending on what the political aspects or aspirations are in your area. Now, we'll look at the Opportunity Corridor in Cleveland, which is a situation where after Trayvon Martin passed away and George Floyd was murdered, the city was forced to build a corridor through the city, through the urban areas, to allow access to those stores, to those malls, to the things in the urban areas. So I don't want to say white people because it's supposed to be for everybody, but that's what it was really for. And what happened was they bought out all those hood areas, and the property value ditched so low, they just cut it out. They destroyed all the homes. They bought the people out at the lowest rate they could. And then they took over the property and built new homes. And of course, Black people are no longer in those homes. So now what's happening? The property value starting to rise. Okay, so now my mom is thinking, because she's right in the path of that Opportunity Corridor, she's like, hey, well, I'm on Kinsman, 93rd and Kinsman. Where's my property value going up? When she just got an assessment last year that says her property value is down to now 48,000 for a 2-family freaking home. And I've never heard of a 2-family home that's active and upkept for $48,000. But again, the things that you guys aren't really seeing, not you as in you, but people aren't seeing, is this is all political, and they need that property value to keep lowering and lowering. So when they finish the corridor project, they can come through and buy all that land at the bare bones price, and then of course move those people out, destroy it, rebuild, and put people in and raise the property value. So it's just a game depending on where you're at in the city.
Either way, I think that it'll help. When something belongs to you, uh, I think it's just something that just triggers a person's brain to make them want to take care of it. All of a sudden, I own a house. I'm putting flowers in front of the house. I done planted a tree. I'm keeping the grass cut and things like that. When people own things, they tend to take care of them and beautify them.
That should be the case.
When they rent a lot of things, you got a lot of rental properties. Some people, I'm only going to be here. They may have some young people there. They may fuck it up, but gentrification is real. It's a real thing.
Yeah, it's sad.
Where that $25,000 will really work. I don't know the terms to this, because this is the first I actually heard of it. I'm ignorant on the situation, but if the way I'm thinking in my mind, this 25,000, do you know where that would work great at? I mean, great.
Where?
Detroit.
Ooh. Okay, yeah, but Reg, no mean to cut you off there, but NJ was trying to say something. I just wanted to finish my point.
NJ, you muted. We can't hear you. We can't hear you, NJ.
She's talking to somebody else.
I'm sorry, I got like 2 things going on at the same time. But I was listening to y'all talking about the gentrification, and I'm being quiet because I didn't want to talk over anybody.
No, you were making a point earlier, but I wanted to finish, so I wanted to go ahead and whatever you had to say. I didn't want to miss that, NJ.
That gentrification is on point. Here we are in 2024, and we still have redlining and gentrification happening in a housing market that actually has too many houses in it. We don't need more built. We need to fill the ones that are built. We don't want to fill them. We don't want to fill them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
What is that called? I want to say zoning, but like in these neighborhoods, they have it set up, and they're going to wait till the whole neighborhood gets depleted, and they'll tear it all down and let them rebuild. They won't let you buy a vacant lot and build on it again. Get it for cheap. They won't allow us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
I mean, it's
in the last 4 years, we have actually taken out entire plots of land because poor people got together and turned these lots into gardens, whether it be for the community, the neighborhood, whatever they named it. And police officers came along for the sake of zoning and actually just bulldozed the whole project. And it didn't happen recently. It's been happening for decades. you can find at least 3 stories a year of where concerned citizens came together and bulldozed community gardens.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, because we live in a food desert in most urban areas where your food is coming from the local corner stores, and that's garbage. You don't have any real actual food coming in. So when people try to grow their own thing and try to develop their own land, which is, again, I'm talking about Kinsman. So if any people in Cleveland watching this episode, take a ride up Kinsman and you'll see exactly what NJ is talking about. You'll see several properties that are vacant alongside what African Americans are now doing is growing their own gardens and growing their own food and trying to monopolize off of that property. But the issue about that is, and I hate to say it's an issue, but we are, as a whole, not the people who are doing the growing, as a whole, Black people aren't understanding that, hey, I can go up to this lot and purchase apples, oranges, or not oranges, but certain foods and fruits and vegetables from these Black people here. But they're thinking they got to go up to Aldi's, go up to Giant Eagle, go up to the corporate establishments to actually buy food. And that's not the case, but we're conditioned and taught to think that that's how to do it. And then they go to the corner store and spend dollars on chips and soda and all kind of
We've been conditioned to convenience.
Gee, don't.
Basically, yeah. So these farmers who are in the hood doing their thing, they're not making the money they actually should be making if Black people understood the consciousness of actually buying from your own and how the dollar would circulate in your neighborhood. We just don't have that consciousness at the moment. I mean, some do, but I don't.
Did you know? Check this out. I didn't know, and it's cool. I do love having a diverse group of friends and getting to with my people, farmers. And so what I didn't know, because it just wasn't my care, I was ignorant to, that they have to, how crops a lot of time produce its own seeds, right? Like they'll leave behind their own seeds after it's all said and done. And they're not allowed to use those. They can't reuse, they can't use those seeds from but they can't because the companies have not a trademark, but have a patent to them. So you have to turn around. You can't use the seeds from whatever you yielded. You have to go turn around, get rid of that, and buy seeds from them again the next year. You can't use. If you get caught using,
oh wow,
yeah, it's like this crazy fine, and then you can go ahead and it's just like it's wild. So yeah, like they have this. I didn't know that. Like I was like, yo, wait, so I can't grow, like you said, apples. Go buy these seeds or whatever case from this company, grow some apples, and then turn around and use the seeds from those apples, plant more trees, and use those. You can't.
That's deep.
What'd you say, NJ? Muted.
You're on mute. NJ, you're on mute. I don't know if she can hear us.
She going.
I'm sorry. What was the question? I can hear you fine.
We were just rethinking over your the statement you were agreeing on with about the seeds and farmers. We thought you were talking to us when you were responding.
No. It's party night. My baby girl. It's her birthday.
Oh, happy birthday,
party
girl.
Right.
Happy birthday. Salute.
That's my baby, and she grown. She grown. She's so grown, I hit her up with my Cash App instead of her hitting me up for my Cash App. She that kind of grown. I've raised great children. I can hit them up. I just don't very often because they got children of their own to raise. But that's not the point. Right now, I'm babysitting, so I can ask for whatever I want. It's called extortion. Works just like the Corporation of America.
I was just about to say that's the American way.
The American way.
What I had texted you earlier, Jamar, I just wanted to kind of touch on that a bit, and I don't know if you guys talked about it or not, but when you sent me the topics, the first name that came to my mind is President Grant, a Civil War hero of sorts, a legend in the myth of sorts. But he was a person that spearheaded the, in a sense, manifest destiny of completing the Western civilization of this country, extending the railroads from the East Coast to the West Coast. So because of his vision, What the government had to do, of course, push out the Native Americans. So that I'm not trying to skip over that and make it seem like that was easy, like a good thing.
Right.
I'm just
right.
I'm just saying facts. So what Grant had to do is help use the U.S. Army and the power of the railroads and the power of the railroad owners and the blood, sweat, and tears of Chinese immigrants to help build the country's infrastructure to allow them to take over these plots of land to give housing for German immigrants, Italian immigrants, Irish immigrants, and some other white immigrants. I can't think of the name.
Polish, all of them.
Yeah, and I know people don't understand this, but he did do it for some niggas. Not like a whole population, but a very, very minute few. And I only know that because I got his fucking book. That's right. The NJ's right. Yeah, very, very small. But what it was it was him trying to make his, I don't want to say make, him making sure his presidency wouldn't be a failure because he fucking sucked as a president. He didn't understand policy. He didn't really understand politics, but what he knew was how to take something over and how to get something from A to B. And he was the best person to do that. So a lot of people, when they want to look at the government, oh, the government's going to provide this and provide that. He's the one that really made that the big thing. Now, after that was over, of course, you had several presidents because, of course, there's still laws and politics and issues, and states were still codifying each other and getting constitutions and all that bullshit. So now that that's over, I'll fast forward to like maybe the early 1900s, where you got Roosevelt and you got Truman in office, and then you got World War I, and then you got World War II. So these are areas in which the government started to back off of housing policies and let the states deal with that because it's truly a state's issue. Now, when it became a state's issue, now you got real fucking politics involved because now you have states who can redline, who can have Jim Crow practices, especially below the Mason-Dixon, who could pretty much do whatever they want to fulfill their housing needs in the way that they wanted to. So when you have a white person in power, he's going to empower his white people to be in control of whatever they want. Hence where you have, what's the word, sharecropping. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I don't want to get too deep into all that because it's like 50 fucking layers. But the whole purpose of that was to make sure that Black people would always be behind the eight ball, always owing and not owning, always owing and not owning. Mm-hmm. That's what the issue was. So then you have the Great Migration, where now okay, I can't own land, I can't do shit, and I'm a sharecropper for 20 years, and I still owe this dude who I'm better than making more money than also, but you can't keep the money because you have to give it because you owe for sharecropping. So then they spread across the United States, and then now you move to Chicago from Louisiana. You don't understand that they're going to put you in the projects. You don't understand that you can't live on, certain avenues and certain things. But when you get there, you see how it is. Oh, you going to apply for this house in upstate? No, nigga. Your ass is going to the south side of Chicago. And so the government, not the U.S. government in a sense, but the local governments in the states have done more damage to control Black people and destroy Black people than the federal government has. So it's kind of odd to me. Well, I shouldn't say odd. To focus on Kamala, whatever her name is, to focus on her saying, hey, if I'm in office, I'm going to put in policies that allow the 25,000. First off, the president just can't do that, okay? The president just can't say the policy and say that's going to be the policy. You have to go through Congress. Congress has to codify that policy, and they have to vote on it. And then once they vote on it, they make a decision. Are we going to allocate this money and make it available for people? There's where you have the housing. What's the lady in charge of housing? I can't recall who that is.
I forgot her name, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but they're supposed to go to the states, negotiate with the states. This is our policy. This is what we want to do. We need your buy-in for this policy. And then once that happens, then it actually happens. So her saying, okay, 25,000, I mean, that may never fucking happen. Now, granted, it'd be great if it does or whatever, but it may not happen. We don't know because the president is not supposed to be setting housing policies. It's just not a thing that they do anymore because they don't have that actual power. Now, what they do have the power to do is leverage. Let's say you're in Ohio.
You refuse to go along with it.
Yep.
I can sit there and get you in other ways by taking this federal money that you're getting because all these states are still. Ron DeSantis talks big shit, but Florida is a fucking huge state that depends on a whole shit ton of federal federal funding.
Yeah, and so they leverage that. They leverage that that weight to against like a Governor DeWine and say, okay, you don't want my $25,000 policy. Okay, well, you got some other stuff waiting in the wing. We'll let that sit for a while until your term is up and see how you like that. Oh, no. Hey, well, look, let's talk about this. Let's figure that. Let me come to Washington. Let's negotiate. Let's sit. So it's not as easy as her just saying, oh yeah, we're gonna run in the office and do this. It takes a lot more. But in my brain, I'm thinking that she understands that, and of course, having Barack Obama as her counsel, because he had a ton of policies that he could not get through because the Congress would not let him.
And his own party stonewalled him.
Which pilot? Well, well. See, I don't want to talk about that. Let's talk about.
You want to wait till after the elections and talk about?
Yeah, but again, the policy that she wants to put forth, I understand it, I get it, but it's not just her saying it. It's going to happen. There's a lot of other factors that have to be in place. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, no different than when, although part of me knows he just said it, and knew he could always blame it on Republicans why it never happened. But he did get a lot through, though, to make it look like he tried to follow on his promise, Biden with student forgiveness. He knew that the Republicans were never going to ever agree to it, but he also knew I had to make it look like I was trying to follow through on my promise and go about it in certain ways to appear that way, but it was never going to fully go through because the Republicans were never going to, and a few Democrats were never going to.
Well, the thing is, that's a legal issue, to be honest with you, because the president has a limited amount of authority for certain policies. Mm-hmm. So again, depending on who's in power and what kind of leverage you can hold, Biden could kind of push that through, but he needs help. He can't just do it on his own.
Right.
And we saw that. So that's all I'm trying to say is that the president can say certain things. Oh, yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. But you are going to need congressional buy-in. And if you don't have that, you're going to have a fucking problem. That's all I'm saying.
I'm agreeing. So, yeah, I'm agreeing with you with that. Just adding on to the fact that
I got you.
Yeah, some of them make these promises or throw these things out there to get elected or get people back. Oh, yeah, they want to do this, knowing that this is the uphill battle that they got, and all they have to do is, quote unquote, I try.
Yeah, I think NJ's trying to say something.
Yeah, my bad, NJ.
Or she wanted to say something.
NJ, oh, okay.
Oh, no, she had that finger up. I'm like, oh, I know that finger.
I was agreeing. That they make the campaign promises, and then they get in office, and it sounds really, really good while they're getting their administration going, and then always like clockwork, 6 months after they get in office, they go, oh, well, we tried, it didn't work. But what we can get through is all of this stuff that the opposition liked. Y'all didn't vote for it. Y'all didn't want it, but the opposition still wants it to go through, and they will compromise with us if we will do the things that they wanted to do that you voted against. Mm-hmm. Did I word that well? I think I worded that
very well. Very
That's the whole
well.
Obama administration. That's the whole 8 years.
Mm-hmm. So I get frustrated by it, and that's why, like, as much as I don't want to be for Kamala, I already know what the 4 years look like in the way that the other person took the power of the president and used it to do basically bare minimum, except for make himself look good and I.
No, his family made millions, man. You see how much Jared Kushner made during his presidency?
His family made billions with the deal with Saudi Arabia.
Man,
and that should be something that should have been flagged and be like, yo,
body bags and coffins made billions.
Yes.
Yeah.
So to see that, when I knew it was up when he put what's his face over HUD. And then Betsy, whatever her name, Betsy DeVos or whatever.
$30,000 for a desk. 30,000. We never got that money back.
Nope, we won't. We won't. So I swear, when I watch a person sit there and cry about people who get government assistance here and a few $100s a month, but you got all these private contractor companies that walked away with billions and hundreds of millions of dollars during the war in Afghanistan, the war in Iraq. They were paid to build hospitals, to build roads, and these things never got built.
Yeah.
A lot of them never even got started on, but they didn't have to pay that money back, and the government to try to collect on it. And I'm like,
because the government always pays its bills. The Corporation of America is known to always pay its contracts, whether they get what they contracted for or not. They will pay the bill and
yes,
still not get what they were paying for. And they teach us consumers in the Corporation of America to accept the same bullshit.
The hell's wrong with my camera?
So I don't know, man. You know what? I guess somebody would tell me as we do all this complaining, you need to be thankful and happy that you're in America and you have these freedoms, these rights, these liberties.
Oh God, that sounds like Sky Daddy talk again. Be grateful. Be thankful. You are so lucky we had these breeding factories. Oh my gosh. You should be joyful that you exist. We had these breeding factories. We put you all on farms, and we even let some of y'all off the farm to go to college. You should be grateful.
Or what about what NJ? NJ, what about when they go to help their argument? They turn around and they say, "Well, see, y'all history is all messed up because here goes so and so who was the wealthiest black man back then. He owned X and X amount of slaves." They always want to find that one or two examples that go against the norm of what every damn thing else was, and they're like, "Yeah, this is so." I'm like, so how many of them? Of him.
I love that example because they never tell you how many of them were family that they were purchasing so that they could later free them. How many of them were family that was scared to leave their
stay
land
together.
because they would be re-enslaved if they left that land.
Yeah,
True.
that's deep shit. It's
That's
stuff that we
very
really
true.
shouldn't. It's stuff that we shouldn't even have to talk about, man. It's stuff that we shouldn't have to defend or even explain. But it's just the way that this company, the way that this country
You said
has
it right.
Right, it's the way that this corporation is chose to.
Corporation of
Yeah,
America. I'm sorry.
yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
NJ's on it. She's on it.
NJ on point.
But to be honest with you guys, like I don't really like talking about housing too much. As Jamar knows, that in the text, I'm like, why are we talking about this? Because it's too deep of an issue to cover in one show, in my opinion.
Right.
Because we're not even talking about homeowners associations. We're not talking about welfare. How they monopolize the black homes by disenfranchising African American men, stating that if you were married or had a male in your home, you could not get welfare assistance. These were policies that are spread all over the North. I mean, oh my gosh, it was ridiculous. So in the early 40s, 50s, and 60s, you have these African American women who can't have full families if they live in their projects, or they won't get assistance, but they can't really get good jobs because you can't get those opportunities because you're being blocked. You can't get good homes because you're being redlined. So you're really relegated to the projects and you're stuck there. And if you have a male in your home, we're not going to give you the money that you get for wealth. I mean, these are actual practices. It's not shit I'm just saying.
Right.
So it develops a mentality and it develops a discourse between African American people, and it splits the home. And the home is still split to this day, and people don't understand why. And it's not nothing to do with black man versus black woman. It's everything with the government stepping in between and prying them apart. And we don't see that.
Nope.
Facts.
Okay. So in 2022, my landlord counted my son because he was over 18 as not as a roommate. That wasn't my child that was being housed in my home. It was a
Wow.
roommate. They were over 18, and the Florida housing system counted them as a roommate, not my offspring.
Wow.
Whoa.
And if that's in a census, aspect, what happens is that city, that area gets more money per adult that is in that city or state or area. So if that's anything in reference to the census, they just got money off of that, because if he's her child, they're not going to really get anything. But it's a full-fledged adult, they're going to turn that money in for census and get. That's why most areas want to vie for prisons, because they can get those bodies in those beds, and those counts towards census dollars to help rebuild their communities. It's deep shit, man.
Yeah. Look at NJ. Wow, love it.
Yeah,
I
it's deep shit.
appreciate everybody for joining us this evening.
Sorry I'm late, man. I was trying to get back.
No, man, it's cool. You came at the right time. NJ, thank you for joining us, because at first it was just like me and Reggie. We just sitting there going along waiting on you put these shit in the comments, just dropping like these statistics and these facts. And it's appreciated. I always love the fact. I think the biggest thing we have these conversations, and I know my brother sometimes like, what the hell? Why are we having to talk about this? Because sometimes the conversation needs to be had, because the way that NJ thinks, you think, and the way you've learned, and the way Reggie thinks and thinks different outside the box is not the normalcy of the way people process information or are able to receive that nourishment or that information. And so their thinking is totally.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that Reggie said that I kind of want to go back to, because we didn't get it, because we kind of moved forward, but we didn't really touch on it, is the fact that, and I think you may have said it before I jumped on, about you could tell the renter versus the homeowner by the way they care about their property. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of hoods you can ride through, you'll see unkept yards, trash everywhere, people hang out on the porch, smoking, drinking, all that stuff. Those aren't the homeowners, y'all. Those aren't the people. Exactly. And I'll say this, and if people are listening in Cleveland, they're gonna know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about. In the late 1980s, Jamar, early 90s, Cleveland Heights was facing a situation. So they allowed Section 8 housing to come into their neighborhoods and purchase properties for Section 8 people to come in and live the Cleveland Heights life. What they didn't plan on is that slumlords will get wind of this and start buying properties in Cleveland Heights so they could just move people in. So they're not screening, they're not caring, they're just putting people. And it got out of hand. It got so crazy to now where certain areas in Cleveland Heights, you feel like you're in East Cleveland. And again, it's not anything against people in poverty. It's the mindset of not owning anything. So it's just a fucking issue, man. And I don't like talking about it because I get upset about that shit. And I don't.
I got you, bro. So that's where it takes me to that point. Like I remember us being young and not paying attention, really, like all caring much of like presidential debates to be on, and they be talking about stuff. And one of the main things they used to talk about was like welfare and housing. And it was like all of a sudden, is like you said, all of them people who have the income to go, or the means to go buy all these houses. Like, wait a second. So you mean to tell me I can go buy this house and the government's going to pay me to allow these people to live here, and I got to keep it up to the bare minimum?
Yep.
And I can make all this money? And then then you started looking at like, yo, who's really on welfare here? Is it the person living, government assistance, is the person living in the house, or the person who owns it, who's renting it out?
The slumlord.
And it was like, yo, and after that happened and they all got hip, when did you hear any presidents really talk about, yo, we got to stop this housing and the government and this? They stopped running on that shit.
But let me tell you the dark side of that. And I don't know if NJ has ever dealt with or seen any of this, or maybe Reg, I don't know. But the dark side of that, Jamar, is now you have landlords who are preying on these women, you know, oh, sexual favors. Oh, no, you don't got to do this. You can do that. Let me come over. Let me do this. And I'm serious. Like, I've seen it. I've watched these guys come through and go into these women's houses. Oh, no, I'll take care of this. I'll take care of that. And then turn around and ask for sex because they have power over them now, because they're lording it right there. It's deep, man. That's, again, like, it's so fucked up. I'm serious.
And don't think that the women landlords don't do the same.
Well, okay, I can't. I'm not. Okay, so good point. I'm not discriminating. I don't know that story. I just know what I saw and what I dealt with Chuck, my previous landlord, when I was in Tremont, how he had several properties, but he would peel through and the ladies would tell me, oh, he trying to get between my legs again. I'm thinking like, what you mean? The dude like 80 years old. He's like, yeah, but he told me I don't gotta pay rent this month if I, well, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's deep, man. It's deep, but yeah, it's
I,
predatory. It's
I
all
call them
predatory.
sugar babies. I call them sugar babies. You know how many sugar babies got their sugar daddies to sign the house over? You know how many daughters and sons is upset that that house is not in the portfolio and sending sugar babies to jail all day, every day? I saw it myself with my
That's
own
what
two
that's what
eyes.
I'm saying. It's just so real, Jamar. Like it is so real and tangible, and but nobody knows these stories because we don't talk about it.
Right. That's why we got these platforms so we can have a conversation to get it out there, man. That's why I enjoy. It's necessarily sometimes not about being necessarily having to be right or wrong, but it's the fact that we're having these conversations and we're discussing them and we're talking about these points and these parts that may be hurtful and may suck, but they need to be discussed because there's a lot of people who are ignorant and unaware of what's really going on out here. There's a lot of people who, it's so funny. I've watched so many people 10 years ago, whenever this slogan, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, right? And then I watched now all these people who were saying that started crying, and it probably started when Obama was in office. Oh, I feel like this and everything else, and it's not fair in America, and you can't trust the government and all this other stuff. And black people sitting looking like,
pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. We don't want to hear that shit because that's what they told, and it sucks because it creates a disconnect because it's like, yo, y'all finally trying to understand and see what we have been saying forever. I don't want to hear shit now about you can't trust the FBI. Look what they're trying to do to Trump and whatnot. Look what the FBI did to our people all these years.
Yeah.
You think they just now became crooked? No, they've been that way and being getting
COINTELPRO.
Yeah. Welcome to the damn club.
Yeah, it's deep.
Now, and,
All right.
Go ahead, AJ.
All right, gentlemen. I'm gonna let y'all have y'all's moment. But this is my thing. I have found 5 things that are taboo. Nobody likes to talk about it. And I plan to spend my 2025 being the annoying I told you so kid. Everybody remembers the I told you so kid. Nobody likes the I told you so kid. But I plan to spend my 2025 being the I told you so kid if I don't get my way. So these are the 5 things I have found to be taboo. Free housing, free healthcare, free education, ACAB all day, every day, and UBI. Those 5 subjects are taboo, and I plan to have a field day in 2025, reminding everybody and anybody that will listen to the sound of my voice. You could have had it. You didn't want it. You were scared. And on that note, I'm going to leave. Have a good one, gentlemen.
Good night, MJ.
Thank you, MJ.
Thank you for stopping by.
Yeah, I got a dip too, Jamar.
We're wrapping it up. So, yo, I want to thank MJ for stopping by.
Yeah, salute. Whoever she is, she was dope, man.
Yeah, she's pretty dope. Yeah, Reggie. I might have to spend
I told you.
But bro, I appreciate you with all again. It's always a resourceful information.
No problem.
Conversation.
I just don't like to talk about that shit.
Yeah, I definitely, man. But it was a much needed conversation. Hopefully, somebody was reached and it helped. Reggie, as always, bro. This is always a privilege and a pleasure.
Yeah, salute, Reg.
Yeah,
thank
y'all.
you.
Thank everybody for listening, tuning in, and everybody have a good night. And don't forget,
God bless. Good night.
Remember, your local vote mean a lot more than y'all think. So,
peace. Vote local. Vote local.
Good night.
Take care.